Hi, I'm JJ. Welcome or welcome back. I'm doing a kind of belated monthly wrap up. I actually finished these books way early in the month, and one of them I finished at the end of last month, but I just didn't get a chance to do a video for it. So I am now. The first book is Daniel Deronda by George Eliot. I did end up and rather than physically finishing this one, I did use audiobook for this one mostly, but I did really enjoy it. And so this is a story about Daniel Deronda and also Gwendolyn, who is a really interesting character, and I actually really enjoyed her as a character. I kind of wish that she had been featured more in it. But since I guess it was titled Daniel, you'll get more of his point of view and everything. But they meet when she's losing a lot of money gambling, and they're out of the country. And then they don't really interact much, but they kind of always had this connection between them. And then they meet again later on. Within their families and stuff, but then you jump back into time and see what brought them there to that moment where they met while she was gambling and losing money, and she was set to kind of trying to marry somebody, and then it came out that he actually had a woman that he had children with, that they basically had an affair while she was married. She's now without anything, and he refuses to marry her or support her. And she kind of came to Gwendolyn and promised her, or made her promise not to marry this guy, because he owed it to her and her kids, or his kids, to take care of them. And so that was all happening, which is what she was trying to clear her head from, and why she went gambling in the first place. And Daniel had been in a rowboat and rescued this woman from drowning by suicide. And it turns out she was a Jewish woman, and she has this really interesting and mysterious past that he wants to try to help her reconnect with and find her family. Her dad took her away because she's a really good singer and was trying to get money off of her, and when he kept making her sing and sing and sing and perform until basically she kind of lost her voice and kind of ruined her vocal cords a bit, and he couldn't make money off of her anymore. So he didn't want her, and she came back to England in search of her mother and her brother, who she was taken from. So Daniel seeks to find this Jewish family, and it's obviously set in a place where, in a time period where Jews were not at all well accepted by society, and he finds this connection with this Jewish man, Mordecai. And they become really great friends. And a lot of the book ends up being about their friendship, and delves into Jewish history and Jewish ideals and stuff like that. And what I do have to say is, especially during this time period when people were writing, if they included books at all that had Jewish characters, they were usually one-dimensional. They were the bad stereotypes. They were very racistly portrayed. And this, I can say that George Eliot did at least portray them with complexity, and many of them with compassion. So I thought that she did a really good job with that. It was really interesting, though, to have something that was written, mid 1800s. So this takes place in 1860s, and she wrote it in 1876. To have it be very Zionistic, So there was Zionism in it. A couple of the characters were like absolutely obsessed with creating the Jewish state, the Israel, the state of Israel, and it's taken and talked about in a large chunk of Daniel's conversations with Mordecai. So it was really jarring, but also very interesting to see something written so long ago that felt so relevant to today and what that nation, the creation of the nation, meant to so many people, despite the way that it happened and the way that it's functioning now. But along with that, I feel like Mordecai was given so much more time developing than who later became Daniel's love interest, which was the Jewish woman that he rescued, which I cannot remember her name, and he ends up actually getting in a relationship and stuff with her instead, which is, I guess, kind of a bit of a spoiler, because the way that it's written, you would go in it just like any other story, like if you're thinking Jane Austen type of thing. Daniel and Gwendolyn's interactions were very kind of combative when they first met, very similar to like Lizzie and Darcy, and so you're absolutely expecting that to go the way of the story. So I do like how she subverted that and then had it go a completely different way. And I am going to give spoilers here, which I do, like, if you don't want to watch it, go ahead and skip over this part. But I do feel like even, I feel like knowing kind of what's going to happen and where the story's going to go makes it interesting, because you can see all the ways that she subverts it and kind of talks about something that would not have been talked about in that society at that time. And so Gwendolyn eventually ends up losing, their family loses all their money, and so she has to make a drastic choice. And at first she does not want to marry. She tries to make it on her own. She whatever she can, like, maybe I can be a governess, but that's not going to be enough money. Maybe I can be a singer, but then she's not good enough at singing. So she has to settle and she has to marry. But who's going to marry somebody who knows that their fortune is gone, and then enter the guy that she already shunned because he's, has this secret family, and she has to marry him. And she has always felt bad about going on against her promise to this woman. And upon marrying, immediately he's very controlling, verbally abusive, just awful to her, possibly abusive, like she's horribly treated by him and is miserable. And what she starts doing is contrasting him to her interactions with Daniel, who makes her want to be a better person, who is just a good human, in the sense that maybe even if they never get together, the idea that he exists is enough for her. And I just love that idea within the story. And you can tell that she's falling for him, and Daniel does have this this pull towards her, but it just never felt like it was supposed to be romantic. And maybe, people at that time would have thought it, that was going to happen, but you could read it kind of understanding it was not going to go there. My kind of one disappointment with the book was, I wish that there was given more detail and stuff to Gwendolyn, but also to the Jewish woman whose family he tried to find and whose he ended up with. She was the least formulated amongst all of them. She, not so much one-dimensional, because you did get this pull of her just wanting to be accepted. She fit in with the family that he brought her to take care of her and stuff, and she felt obligated to them and really wanted to be good. She just never thought that she was good enough. She compared herself to the rich white people around her, and I just wish there was more meat to her, so that you could fully understand why Daniel chose her, instead of the stilted interactions that they had and stuff. For as long as this story was, there should have been no left wanting for that relationship. It should have been fully developed if that's what the intention was. Instead, she put so much time in his interactions with Mordecai instead. But you can later see why that happened, because he had been raised not knowing who his parents were, and he was raised by this wealthy white man who did everything for him, treated him like a son and everything. And at the end of the book, he finally gets to meet his mother, and he finds out he's Jewish. The mom was a beautiful singer, and had to hide who she was so that she could keep advancing within her career. And she never really wanted a kid, let alone be married to a Jewish man and having to raise a Jew, being raised in the Jewish family. So she got him out because she hated so much about herself, and she wanted him to not be associated with that. And this whole story is him finding connection within the Jewish community and being excited now that he realized he was one of them. And it's just kind of interesting when you think of nature versus nurture and all of that stuff, because what he was drawn to was a Jewish singer, not knowing that his mother left him because she was a Jewish singer, but she was trying to hide that she was Jewish. And so I feel like that gave a lot of depth to the character, and you can kind of compare and contrast, like, what he was seeking, he ended up finding, and it wasn't in his mother, but it was in this basically contorted mirror image of his mom, but better. And I did enjoy that aspect of it, but that all was happening, and he has this big huge revelation, and he kind of I was glad that he found that about himself. But in the meantime, you have Gwendolyn, who has to go on a trip with her husband, and he ends up drowning when they're in the water, and she lets him, and she's free of him, and she wonders now if not saving him makes him a horrible person, or if she can still be better and live up to the person that Daniel thought she was or wanted her to be. And so I love that she's living independently of him, but still trying to hold herself to better standards. When you first meet her, she's like a lot of the other characters in that time period, rich white women of privilege who don't recognize their privilege. And she could come off very stubborn or selfish, and yet there are just parts of her that are intriguing enough that she just wants to change. And so I really enjoyed her development throughout the story. And since if you compare this to Tess of the Duvervilles, where this pious woman keeps getting destroyed by men, and the same thing happened with Gwendolyn, and the same thing happens at the end with them both casting off their change and essentially being fallen women, but by trying to take their life back and by killing the people or the person who took that from them. The ways that they're different is what's so fascinating. Tess read like a warning. This is what happens to fallen women. This is what happens when we let women, we hold them on pedestals and let them get torn down, and we don't take care of them, and we treat them as second-class citizens, and then we wonder why they fell in the first place, or why they made these horrible and drastic choices. Whereas Gwendolyn, it was written from a feminine perspective. So what happens if she can cast all that stuff off? She can hide this secret, live as a victim that they feel bad for and want to raise back up, and allow that to make her have the chance to change and grow and be better. And I just love how different it is when similar things happen to both of them. And I just, like I said, really wish we would have gotten more of Gwendolyn's story. But obviously it's not called Gwendolyn, it is called Daniel. So we did get that, but I don't know why this isn't talked about as much. I did enjoy it. It is a bit long-winded. There were times when it was a little bit slower. I personally was interested in the Jewish aspect of it because that is not something you read in classics a lot. But I do also feel like it, in places, felt heavy-handed in that aspect because you could almost see her agenda going in her, Zionism and stuff. But other than that, especially the characters of Gwendolyn, and I wish I remembered the Jewish woman's name. I think it was Mira or Myra. I think it was Mira. I just am not sure. But those two were really interesting characters, and I do wish that we would have had a lot more of both of them. The other two that I wanted to just talk about were The Book Eaters by Sunyi Dean. That one I was not expecting to like nearly as much as I did, and I really enjoyed it. It is a horror. It's almost like a really contorted fairy tale. And so you have this really fantastic world building where there's regular everyday people, humans, but then there are these book eaters, and their nutrition comes from consuming books. But it's such a masculine society, misogyny, where the guys can read whatever they want, and girls have to read, fairy tales and, about princesses and, all these moral tales about, how to be a better person type of thing. And it really drives the point home, like, you are what you eat, but you are what you consume as well. And consuming as in the media that you take in, the influences around you. Like, you are what you do, who you're around, how you're raised, shapes things. And so many girls, are left just as pawns. It almost felt like the Handmaid's Tale a little bit, where their whole role in society was to get married and birth more children. So they had multiple marriages, basically passed around, had a kid with each of their husbands, and kind of continued on the race of book eaters. And you have these different clans who were kind of vying for power and stuff. And in the midst of it all, you have what were called dragons in some people's histories and mythologies, like vampires, where instead of consuming books, they have to consume human minds. And her son, the main character's son, was born as a mind eater, and she had to do whatever it took to protect him and keep him away, because mind eaters were, if they couldn't be controlled, they were then killed. And they had this drug that they were trying to use, called redemption, that would take away the hunger, but not like the craving for it. And so that they could eat books rather than brains. But the clan who created that just mysteriously disappeared, and there was none left. So now they were going to be coming for her son. So she was on the run, and she had to save him. So the world building was interesting and stuff, but what I found most fascinating was, so the kid is young, but since he's consumed so many adult minds, he speaks and acts like an adult, because, like I said, you are what you consume. So if he consumed a vicar, he's spouting like all just religion. If he is with he consumes like a married man, he longs for his wife, and he kind of becomes these people in essence. And because you are what you eat, and she has to be the one who helps him find the people to consume, she starts being part of this murder cycle. And instead of being mother and son, they're almost like collaborators in this crime. And that does change their relationship and their interactions with each other and other people. But what is intriguing is, because you are what you eat, she doesn't want him to eat bad people or anything like that, because she wants him to be a good kid. So the solution would then be, you have to eat good people to be a good person. But if you're killing good people, what does that do to you eternally, spiritually, emotionally, knowing that you're killing the best of the best just so that you can be good? And it just creates this really unique, like, complexity within the characters as they interact into the world. And yes, survival happens, so maybe we have to stop being so choosy about who we kill, but then knowing that he's gonna take on these memories and live that way, you do want to make sure that you're choosing not your enemy that you're running away from. So it makes it really hard to survive in this world. And as they're on the run, they come across this that other clan who invented the redemption to begin with. And you find out that it's a whole clan of mind eaters, and they're trying to live like regular book eaters and not consume as much when it comes to humans, with the exception of their leader, who consumes it almost to a religious zealot type of way, like when you think of communion and within the Christian church, and you're taken in the body of Christ. When you take communion, he sees killing people as their sacrifice to save him from this life of uncertainty and killing and all that stuff. And so the way that it deals with religion and the way that it deals with fanaticism within this really cool world that she made, that's like dark and bleak, and it has so many like gray areas for morality, was really, really interesting. And I really enjoyed it, and I do want to read more. That was the only book I've read by Sun Yi, but I definitely will be reading more. And the last book that I read was my disappointment for the month. I had just recently did a video prior to reading the book, books that I basically expected to be 5-star reads for me, and one of them was Marriage at Sea by Sophie Elmhirst. because I love action and adventure and, you know, a true life story. And it was about this husband and wife who basically they're on the in the sea with their boat, and it gets knocked over by a whale, and they have to escape their sinking ship into little lifeboat, and they're stuck with nobody knowing where they are out at sea. They couldn't get a whole lot of their belongings on their lifeboats before it sank, so they don't have a whole lot, and they're stuck there for a month or like 4 months, just over or just under 4 months. They have to like try to learn to fish. They have to catch like rainwater. They have to keep themselves alive. That part was fascinating. That was what I expected the whole book to be. Kind of like a real life Robinson Crusoe thing as you're trying to get through this and survive. But it was such a short part of the book, and instead you get the first chapter starts out with the whale hitting it, and I was a lot, wow, this is really good. But then it went back into, you know, how they met and their relationship. And honestly, the more that they did that, the less I actually cared about them as people. They weren't always that likable, and I just, it made me get less invested in their survival or not, which is really sad to say. But then it goes back to all the parts where they survive. You get to learn really cool facts about the ocean in general, sea life out there. You get to see how they, had to hunt turtles and then try to, eat them. And just so many unique things that they had to do to survive. Once again, that part fascinated me. And then they got saved fairly quickly within the book, brought back, and had to get like this World War tour, like whirlwind about how cool their survival story was, how like all the nations and stuff picked it up. They became like celebrities. And then once again, I lost interest, and I wasn't all that interested in that part of them, writing their story, telling their story over and over. And then the wife ends up getting cancer later on, and the husband grieves her and continues to write their story and try to remember everything he can about it to kind of preserve her. And so like that part was interesting again, but there was just so much of it that just felt boring or just disappointing to me. If it was, and I feel bad because within the story too, they wrote how people only wanted to know about their survival, and they didn't want to know about them as people. And like, I kind of get it, because like when they started talking about them as people, they just felt like these entitled people that they couldn't wait after that trip to get another boat and go out again and do their thing, because they wanted to flee the world, and they had the means to do that. And I don't know, I just didn't really like them as people. And so I feel bad saying that, but I just was so disappointed in this story in general. The part about them trying to survive was very well done, very well written, and everything else was basically a letdown. So like 2/3 of the story I was disappointed in and bored with, and I actually kept stopping it and going back and reading something else instead, until I finally had to have it due at the library soon, and made myself finish it. Like, that's how disappointed I was in some aspects of it. So overall, my reading that had nothing to do with Pride and nothing to do with Historathon was two really good books and then one disappointment. I feel like that's still, I'm good. I'm sitting good there. Anyway, I'm sorry for all the rambling. I don't know. It's really hot today, and I can't have the fan on while I'm filming because it's really loud. So I feel like just the heat is just so stifling and distracting that I can't get all of my thoughts in order. So I do apologize for that, but I don't know what else to do. I do have to, like, I've been trying to film a lot today because I can only film on Saturdays. But man, is it hot. I have to take time in between each video and just like stand in front of the fan and not start to get heat stroke or anything because it's brutal out. Anyway, I'm not trying to complain or anything, but that's my wrap up. That's my my monthly reading. It's not as much as usual, but I feel like I had a lot to talk about the two books that I really liked anyway, so I feel like this video is already long enough. So as always, happy reading and have a great day.